Green Party candidate Rae Vogeler, running for U.S. Senate.
I'm running against Herb Kohl for U.S. Senate. He's a Democrat. He's a multimillionaire, second richest senator in the entire country. And we're running a campaign that's very grassroots oriented all over the state. I put on thousands of miles, and the campaign is all about working people taking back their government and calling for peace, bringing the troops home now, and redirecting that military budget to the home front, to jobs, education, health care, and a clean environment. So as I'm on the road, I'm finding that there's a lot of sentiment out there against Herb Kohl and for having a people's candidate, someone truly progressive that will represent them in Washington.
What got you to throw your hat in the ring?
Well, what happened is I've been a community organizer for 30 years, working on issues for women's rights, workers' rights, senior citizens, the environment, peace and justice. And the Green Party came to me about a year and a half ago, and they said, "Rae, would you consider running against Herb Kohl for U.S. Senate?" And I said, well, I got to sit down, think about this, because it's a major, major commitment. So I talked it over with my family. I'm married and I have 2 kids, and we decided this is something that we as a family will do. We'll take this on because we need to take our level of commitment one step further, take it to Washington, D.C., and it's about grassroots democracy. So when the Greens came to me, I thought, if not now, when? Go for it. And I took on that challenge, and it's been very, very exciting. And I'm finding that there is a groundswell going on. People don't know about it because the media often doesn't cover it, but in fact, there is this undercurrent of anger. People want their government back, and they're tired of dirty government. They're tired of politicians like Herb Kohl who vote for the big corporate lobbyists in Washington. So that's what I'm about. I'm about being the people's candidate, a mother who really, really understands what it's like to put food on the table. I understand what it's like to be laid off. I know what it's like to go without health insurance. So I really, really understand what people in the state are going through, and they can see that I'm genuine and that I will be there for them in Washington to fight against corruption, big money, and to vote for working people. We have to have a different way of voting people into office. So I call for, number 1, campaign finance reform. I believe firmly, if Herb Kohl and I had the same amount of money, let's say we had true campaign finance reform where a candidate cannot pull $1 million out of his pocket, put it into the campaign war chest. If we had a situation where we had, let's say, $100,000 each that came out of the public good, because we want all people to have the level playing field, I would win hands down. I know that for a fact. Because I wouldn't be putting out canned ads. I'd be going to the people, using this money to represent them and put out my platform, put out literature. And what Herb does instead is he takes $3.3 million. That's what he spent in the primary, and he just does auto dial phoning. He does the canned TV ads, and he never does a debate. See, he doesn't have to debate anyone. He hasn't done it since 1988 when he first ran. He thinks he can just buy the election, and he does.
Incumbency.
Right. And so I think we need some term limits, too. We need to be talking about instant runoff voting, IRV, where you can vote your first, second, third choice, and then if your first choice doesn't make it, that vote goes to your second choice. That way you don't vote out of fear, you vote out of your conscience. You vote for who you believe in. So there's a lot we can be doing. And I also say let's talk about November 7th as a national holiday. Let's make it a national holiday. Everybody can go out to vote. People can take their kids with them. It's a civic duty. They're part of the process. And on top of that, people can be there to observe the elections. So we have a lot we can be doing here. And media. Media reform is essential. I will tell you that I have a lot of trouble getting to the major media. They interview me, and they don't even run any of the articles on me. Journal Sentinel, which is right downtown here in Milwaukee where I am standing, they interviewed me on July 18th. I call them August, I call them September. When are you going to run something on me? I am a candidate against Herb. He gets all this free media. You know what they told me? They go, Rae, we'll report on you after the primary. So now I'm calling them and say, well, time to cash in. Let's get my voice out there. People need to know who their options are and what kind of availability there's for voting. So we're taking it to the ground. We're taking it all over the state, and I'm very, very excited because I do see that folks are ready for change, and I'm part of that change. We need to speak truth to power, and to have that truth means that we need full investigation of our government and the way that the government's run. Good example, too, is these secret prisons all over the world. I knew it was happening. A lot of people knew it was happening. All of a sudden it's news as if it's something novel and it just happened. We know. We know that people are being tortured around the world in the name of the U.S. government. People are being detained without any kind of rights.
And Bush says we don't torture.
Well, Bush tries to say all these things, right? Who can believe that man? And I was asked that question the other day. What would you say to Bush if you could say anything? And I would say to him, how can he live with himself? How can a person who has used lies to go to war feel that he's doing the right thing, that he's leading this nation, and all the loss of life on many sides? And he is responsible. And I say that he needs to, number one, be censured, he and the administration. He needs to be facing impeachment. And number three, he needs to go to an international criminal court for war crimes, crimes against humanity. And it's time that the highest leader of this nation is held accountable for his actions, because if he isn't, how can we teach our children to do the right thing? How can we teach them peace and nonviolence and truth if the leader of this country is not emulating in any way, putting forward those kind of behaviors?
And can you give us just a couple statements about what the Green Party is all about?
Well, the Green Party is a party based on grassroots democracy. We also stand for peace, we stand for nonviolence, we stand for social justice and a clean environment. All the parts of the program that I'm so in support of and that I bring forward as I'm campaigning around the state. So, for example, Herb Kohl voted for the bankruptcy bill, big giveaway to credit card companies. It's against working people who often are not able to pay for their medical bills, and they go bankrupt. So here we are as a Green Party saying social justice. Social justice means that those people in the Senate need to truly represent the folks back home here. And something I found out in my research is that the Senate has 40 millionaires. 40 millionaires. I didn't know that till recently. So we're talking 40% of the Senate is made up of wealth, and yet the demographics here in the country is like less than 1%. So how can we have a government run by these rich people, primarily white men, and they're supposed to be there on our behalf? They're not. And they buy their way into office. So that's very important, social justice. And then again, the environment. The Green Party and I stand for the environment and cleaning it up, not just for us, but future generations, for our children. And Herb Kohl, again, he voted for Bush's energy bill, totally in bed with the Bush agenda and these corporate lobbyists. I say, let's have a clean environment, let's have renewable energy sources, let's try to have mass transit and conservation, and let's provide a clean environment for our children. And then the other platform, peace and social justice combined, nonviolence. I've been organizing against the war in Iraq before it started. I was actually on the street telling Herb Kohl, vote no. And that's all about grassroots democracy, too, being there in the neighborhoods, in our places of worship, in our schools, in our workplaces, and organizing for peace and justice. The campaign is all about working people taking back their government and calling for peace, bringing the troops home now, and redirecting that military budget to the home front, to jobs, education, health care, and a clean environment. So as I'm on the road, I'm finding that there's a lot of sentiment out there against Herb Kohl and for having a people's candidate, someone truly progressive that will represent them in Washington.